voice of fans is higher.
Every single day, there are new revelations of how the entire Rafale deal turned out to be a Rafale scam of the biggest proportions India's independent history has ever seen. Today we come forward with some more information with regards to how a conspiracy of silence, a conspiracy of collusion, taking place from the highest authority in the nation, has compromised on national security, nation's interest, in favor of their own suited booted friends. I would request Shri Jaypal Reddy ji, who's also heading the core committee on Rafale scam, to take this forward and address the media on all the new revelations that have come to the fore.
My valued colleague Priyanka ji and friends, the Rafale scam is getting thicker and thicker and curiouser with every passing day. Today, we have to refer to two important developments. Mr. Modi is getting caught or sandwiched between international revelations and internal disclosures. Let me refer to the first part, international revelations. For the first time yesterday, the present French president, Mr. Macron, while answering a specific question, avoided the question. He simply said, I was not in charge at that time. In other words, he did not contradict the version of the former French president, François Hollande, who asserted that Anil Ambani's company was taken as an offset partner because of the pressure of Government of India. And that pressure was so intense that they were left with no choice. President Macron had been prepared for long to answer this question. I may recall our President Rahul ji had met him along with our former Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh earlier on, when Mr. Macron made clear it's for the Government of India to decide as to which part of the deal is secret. So, Mr. Macron yesterday answered the question in English. Was fully prepared to answer the question. He said it was a part of a broad framework of relations and all that. In diplomacy, you know, whenever you can't give an answer, even in spokesmanship for that matter, if you give a voluminous answer, voluminous answers are not necessarily luminous. So he avoided the question. The point we would like to highlight is this consistent non-contradiction by the current French authorities of the claim made by the former president is absolutely tantamount to confirmation of the facts mentioned by the former French president. And what did he say? Former president did not make any bones about it. They wouldn't have chosen Anil Ambani's company but for the pressure of Government of India. So this non-contradiction by the current president of France is equivalent to an international revelation, international confirmation. Now, Mr. Modi stands self-condemned. You may ask me how? For everything, you will refer to Pakistan as a ploy. What does he say of the former French president? Can Mr. Modi say that he is not a well-wisher of India? Did not Mr. Modi go in for his famous repeated hugs when he went to France to sign the deal on 14th April 2015? After all those friendly hugs, how can he call him hostile? On what basis? As a student of politics, I am not aware of a single example a Prime Minister of India being contradicted by the former president of any responsible major world power. In the last 70 years, I have been a keen participant in politics for 50 years. I have been a keen student for 60 years, and all of you have been students of Indian politics. Can anybody cite a single example of a former of Indian Prime Minister being contradicted by the former president of any major responsible Western democracy? And France has been a friendly nation. And Mr. Modi himself said that in Paris. France is the only country which has stood by India in the last 70 years consistently. During the days of Cold War, when we went in for nuclear test, either in 74 or 98, it's a friendly power. When we went nuclear, France was the only Western country which did not react in a hostile fashion. From the days of President de Gaulle to the current days, France has been a friendly country. If the former president of France says something, this country has to sit up and take notice. Mr. Modi You are no longer contradicting the president of the Congress party. You are no longer contradicting the opposition in India. You are no longer talking of Pakistani enemy. There are no bogies left here. There is no ploy left in Paris. Don't confuse Pakistan with Paris. So, Mr. Modi was an explanation to the nation about the statement made by the former president of France on Anil Ambani's company. Now, there is a new development. You might have seen in the Indian Express today, New Delhi edition, this deal was signed between Prime Minister Modi and the then President Francois Hollande on 14th April 2015. I am also making another statement as a responsible parliamentarian. I am not aware of any major defense commercial pact being ratified after the deal was signed. It's an exceptional case of post facto ratification. Number two, after the deal was signed by the head of the nation, what option the subordinates were left with? Subordinates had to make up and prepare the appropriate paperwork for ratification by the Cabinet Committee on Security. What happened in the process? The deal signed by Mr. Modi and Francois Hollande had to be signed between the defense ministers. Manohar Parrikar and his defense counterpart in France signed this formal ratification agreement on September 16th, 2016, more than 1 year afterwards. But before that, what happens? Joint Secretary Acquisition Merger in Defense Ministry, there is a department, Acquisition and Merger. Since I worked on defense standing committees, since I am familiar with it, I am mentioning to you. Joint Secretary objected to this deal, already signed by the Prime Minister. What were the grounds on which he objected? Please go through Indian Express of Delhi today. Give up your traditional media rivalry. If you don't want to mention the name of the paper, you can say one of the major newspapers in India. This rivalry is there all over the world. It's a global phenomenon. Just as corruption is a global phenomenon, This rivalry also is a global phenomenon. First objection was on the price. The Joint Secretary, Rajiv Verma, I suppose, pointed out that the price arrived at by the UPA government for 18 aircraft was cheaper than the one being paid for 36 aircraft. Second, he also pointed out that Eurofighter had offered to supply this aircraft to the same kind at 20% discount, price discount. So what did he say? He did not recommend Eurofighter. Although the Eurofighter and Rafale aircraft are more or less equal in their capability. Both of them are first-rate international aircraft. We have no doubt about the quality of the aircraft. What did Joint Secretary say? We had better tell France to charge 20% less. So what happens? The Joint Secretary, Mr. Rajiv Verma, had to go on leave. There comes a superior officer, senior officer, Jyoti. There comes a superior officer who overrules the Joint Secretary who went on leave and one lady, Smita Nagraj, was posted as an officer senior to him, and she was posted from the PMO directly account to one source. It's for the government to contradict or confirm, subject to contradiction, confirmation by the government. Look at the manipulation. After all this, the process of ratification agreement between the Defense Minister of India and the Defense Minister of France was delayed by more than 1 year. It was ratified on September 16th, 2016, whereas the deal was signed between the President of France and the Prime Minister of India on 14th April 2015. Is that right? So more than 1 year. It's an order of 60,000 crores. You are paying 41,000 crores more. And you take more than 1 year to ratify. Then it goes to the cabinet, and cabinet's committee on security, presided over by the Prime Minister, would do it automatically. So, Rafale scam is just now unfolding. We have many more things to see. So far, we don't have the answer for the question. Government of India needed 126 aircraft. You agreed only for purchase of 36 aircraft. Priyanka ji raised this question number of times in number of places, including Mathura and else Varanasi. What will happen to the remaining 90 aircraft? How will our defense be well prepared if we are not equipped at the minimum level in respect of Air Force, which is the most important aspect of any defense preparedness? So, Mr. Modi, the more you try to run away, the more you get drawn into this morass of Rafale controversy. It has begun to stink, and Mr. Modi has begun to sink. Rafale scam has begun to stink, and Modi has begun to sink into the sea of this scandal. There's questions. It's Mr. Modi who is getting self-condemned through his silence. How can you blame us for his silence and consequent self-condemnation? हम इतना ही कहना चाहते हैं, शरद पवार जी का बयान से मैं परिचित नहीं हूं, मैं देखा नहीं। हम इतना कह सकते हैं, हमको सवाल उठाने का हक है। अब जो है ना, रिप्लाई देने का कर्तव्य प्राइम मिनिस्टर का है, उनका कर्तव्य का पालन वो क्यों नहीं कर रहे हैं? नहीं, ये आपका जो कंक्लूजन है, I would like to submit in all humility is wrong. Either the junior minister earlier or the president Macron has not contradicted the former French president. Remember, both Macron and François Hollande are presidents of a Western country. And in France, where you have vigorous, vibrant democracy. In fact, the editor of the website, Mediapart, asserted that he has an audio script of the statement made by the former president, François Hollande. He has an audio script. गवर्नमेंट टू गवर्नमेंट डील में क्या फंक्शंस होते हैं? एक ड्यूटी ये होती है, गवर्नमेंट टेक्स रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी फॉर डिलीवरी ऑफ द एयरक्राफ्ट. सेकेंडली, गवर्नमेंट टेक्स रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी फॉर द क्वालिटी ऑफ द एयरक्राफ्ट. But the governments of either country don't take responsibility for the price of the aircraft or for the number of the aircraft. A government to government bolkar, you can't bury everything. Government to government contracts entail only two obligations. One is the government of France has to ensure the quality of the aircraft. Another is delivery.
Any other questions? Yes. Yes.
I receive information, no doubt. It's for us to be open, but the fact is, no French government official has said this. It's not easy in a Western democracy for the current government to contradict the version of the previous president. And that too, it was not too long back, just 3 years ago. No, you see, it's very unfortunate that the government of India is involving the serving chiefs of Air Force, Army on such matters. We don't enter into argument with the serving chiefs. Okay?
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you.
Did we miss anything?
No, no.
No, hardly any time.
जी 2 बजे के बाद